What's up YouTube? What's going on guys? So finally after 14 days in quarantine, with popular request, I'm finally making this video. Actually, we've been making a lot of free workout videos at home in our Instagram page at Samaya Now, but I haven't made anything yet to directly address the queries of powerlifters and bodybuilders who follow me. So this is my best attempt to make this video talking about what would potentially happen if you completely stop training when it's a crisis, when the world is on lockdown. What are the things that we can focus to maintain our adaptations and make the most out of it, and what could be some of the myths or misconceptions, or potentially even talk about some of the benefits that this could bring upon us as a lifter and as an athlete. So let's directly get into the video. So for the past 2 weeks, like Nepal mat bhayihalyo, but even the entire world is on lockdown, and for me personally, like lockdown नै भयो भने पनि I've been fortunate enough to have made my own घरको gym in which I can train and not miss out on so much progress, and I obviously am not taking that for granted. मैले पुरा Instagram post लेखेको थिएँ like just a couple of days back about how I feel about the situation, but most of you all don't have access to that, so we don't know how long this pandemic is gonna continue. Lockdown कहिलेसम्म हुन्छ, so better late than never भनेर I'm making this video. So let's talk about all the things slowly, and you may decide like what do you want to do to get out on the other side better, on what could be some of the things that could happen भनेर चाहिँ. Let's talk about the first thing, which is the most worst case scenario, meaning completely no training गर्यो भने चाहिँ के हुन्छ भनेर. So the research on this matter is pretty clear, and it exactly shows like if you do completely no training, how long until you start to lose strength, size, speed, power. If you only train for strength, how long can you maintain your speed, strength, power, like whatever. So the research is pretty clear, but in our case scenario now, what happens if you don't train at all? So the first thing that happens when you don't train at all is you start to lose speed and you start to lose power. We've all experienced this in some way or form, like एक दुई दिन training नजाँदाखेरि नै we go back to the gym and the movements that we're normally doing, it starts to feel very rusty, like कस्तो गर्नु नआएको जस्तो. But the thing with that is like एक दुई दिन गरेपछि like you directly get into the groove भनौँ न, and it starts to feel more natural. And like since we're powerlifters, we happen to train our main movement at least twice a week or even more for bench press and squatting sometimes. So when we don't train for even less than a week, start to see decrements in our speed and power. But this is not that we need to be worried about, and most of us aren't even aware of this problem, and we don't really care. So to talk about the more important thing, that is size and strength. Again, this could vary slightly depending on how advanced you are or how beginner you are. Like beginners will maintain to adaptations longer than an elite level athlete would. So for me right now, मेरो numbers will be based on an intermediate average भनौँ न. So based on that, you can identify which side of the spectrum do you fall on, advanced कि beginner. So I'm gonna talk from the middle line. So in terms of losing strength, I talk a great deal about strength being a skill, and strength is very specific. We're focusing on the powerlifting strength technique, and the movement, the skill part of it becomes a very big role. So you would start to lose your strength adaptations from maybe 1 to 3 weeks depending on the lift. So bench press you start to lose strength faster than you would lose for a deadlift, because deadlift is more forgiving. So deadlift maybe towards the 3-week mark you start to lose strength, whereas bench press maybe in 1 week you start to lose strength, and squat would be somewhere in the middle depending on your level of advancement. So you start to lose strength. One of the big contributing factors to strength is muscle mass. So muscle mass is directly proportional to how much stronger you can get. Doesn't mean you have more muscle mass, you have a high level of strength, but when you have a high level of muscle mass, that muscle will have the potential to become a stronger muscle. हामीले train गर्दै गरेन भने we start to lose our muscle mass in about 2 to 3 weeks, give or take. This has been a personal experience for me too, because like I've been training for the past 7 years. The first time I took 3 weeks off of training was a couple of weeks back when I went to Bali, and having this research thought at the back of my head, I wasn't too scared that I would be losing any gains. But towards the end of the 3rd week, last year, I started to feel like I'm getting smaller, like my t-shirts aren't fitting like they used to. So I felt like I was starting to lose some size there, but I don't know if that's true. Now I'm completely fine, but 3 week we don't want to go longer than 3 weeks. So that's about how much strength, size and power that you would lose. So the good thing for us now it becomes is we can still train for power and speed from other specific movements like box jump or sprints or stairs climbs or like we can still train for speed and power. But the only thing we can't train for directly if we don't have access to a rack is strength directly, because we cannot have a barbell without having a barbell, and we miss the skill aspect out of it. But like I said, the biggest contributing factor to strength is obviously the size of muscle you have, and like I already talked about. So we can maintain some muscle size, and later when we get back to the gym, then we can finally get back to practicing our skill to become stronger in the movements that we want to become. So research on this matter is pretty clear that you don't need any specific movement necessarily to maintain any muscle size, as long as you're close to the proximity of failure, maybe 1 to 5 rep range in reserve, then the 1 to 30 rep range mark. That's a pretty big range, and we can definitely tackle those problems working out at home. So what does that mean? So we need to choose an exercise that if we had to do it, we fail within 30 reps. So that's a big range of exercise, especially for I can almost do any movement under 30 reps and go to failure, except maybe air squats and push-ups, which I can do more than 30. So that becomes pretty much ineffective for me. So we have to tackle the movement and make it harder so that we can fall within those rep range. Now when we're training these movements, we should ideally be doing about 10 to 16 sets per muscle group in a week. So एकै दिनमा गर्नु भन्दा पनि I would recommend you guys to split your body parts up into at least like 3 times frequency हुने गरी split them up, and then do maybe 3 times split in 4-4-4 गरेर I can do 4 effective sets of any certain movement in one day, and then do them 3 times a week, and then do the whole cycle again and again, falling within the 30 rep range mark. So I hope that kind of makes sense. So you would want to program your muscle group. So 10 to 16 sets for every muscle group in your body, and then try to divide them into as many chunks as possible, because धेरै एकैचोटी एउटै सेटमा अब पुशअप गरे भने 12 sets, the first set maybe if you can get 30 reps, the last set if you take every set to failure, you probably even won't get like 10 reps if you're having a good day. So try to split them up into as many pieces as possible, and I'll talk about the exercises that you can do to make it harder. So I'll talk about the exercises and how to make them harder if you can do them more than 30 rep range. If you can't do more than 30 rep range, then it's perfectly fine, you're safe, and you can still be making very good gains. But to talk about exercises, first that comes to my mind is squat, because that's my favorite movement. But how do you train the legs without doing an actual barbell squat? So there are some examples, like if you can load a cylinder or something, and then you could do maybe 30 reps or lower squat, and you reach to absolute failure, then that's your key. But for most of us, since we're squatting over 100 kgs, that wouldn't be feasible. So I would switch to maybe doing pistol squats. If you can do pistol squats, you may do sissy squats. This is actually a very good movement. But again, if you're doing over 15-16 reps and you're still not hitting failure, I would recommend you try it with the blood flow restriction technique. So blood flow restriction, I don't want to talk about it so much now. You can find a shitload of articles online, but research has shown with lighter weights you can get equally as much gains as you would with a heavier weight for a short period of time. So blood flow restriction garera, you can do sissy squats. While we're at the topic, you can do blood flow restriction training for your calves. So you may do single leg calf raises on the stairs. You may do donkey calf raises if you've got someone who's willing to hop on your back. So calf ko lai bhayihalyo, quads ko lai bhayihalyo. While we're at the topic of legs, we may do single leg calf slide leg curls for the hamstring, Nordic curl negatives for the hamstring, which is absolutely good movement. So Nordic curl, then you may have somebody hold your leg for you. Got access to a band or something, you may do like squat garda pani band rakhera you may squat and then make it harder. After that comes like push-up variations. Pretty much covers all the pushing muscles in your body. So you may do a handstand push-up, a pike push-up, push-ups, regular push-ups too easy. If you can bench press 100 kilos, you can easily do 30 bench press push-ups. But you may make it harder if you've got access to a band and a tempo ma push-up garyo bhane pani it will be harder to make sure that it falls within the 30 rep range mark. Been seeing doing a lot of dips, like the chair dips garne, but for me, I think the chair would break if I try to do that, but that's an option if you. That's pretty much for the pushing muscles. Talk about pulling. So most of us have access to some sort of a bar or like stairwell where you can do some pull-ups. So pull-ups garnu milena bhane pani I've seen people like put a towel on top of a ढोकामा towel राखेर they've been doing pull-ups, and I think that could potentially work, but I wouldn't try to do that because I don't want to break the door. Inverted rows pani table ma gareko, that's actually quite creative, like it's the pass through hune table ma doing some inverted rows, and that's a very good movement. For the arms, you can obviously put like a blood flow restriction thing and then do Meyer reps to absolute failure, then still get a good arm workout and overhead extension with like a bottle or like a backpack or whatever you've got. Use blood flow restriction technique, and that's for the exercises. I hope this exercises some ideas to work around with your training programming. Like I said, increase your frequency, 10 to 16 sets at least. Now if you want to focus on a muscle group, that's completely fine. Maybe push it up to like 20 or 22 sets or something. That would be my general recommendation for the exercises. Now to talk about the positive sides that could come from this crisis situation, and this is one of the most influential factors when it comes to people, athletes at a very high level stop training, like gym access bhayera pani, and that reason that we need to avoid it, and it's burnout. So burnout basically means like a fatigue that accumulates over time, mentally, physically, and it makes it so much so that you feel like you don't want to train anymore. You've lost passion for it. Now if you're smart enough in training, you obviously plan enough vacations, you plan enough deload phases, resensitization phases, but we as humans, we want to go hard and then crash and then just lose everything that we've made. And this is a very crucial factor when it comes in the past, like Arnold भन्दा पनि maybe towards the 90s, where Dorian Yates, Kevin Levrone, Sean Ray, all these guys were training. They would, I think even Dexter Jackson, because these guys would ideally take like 2 months, 3 months off of training completely after the Mr. Olympia, and then let their body recover so for the next season they can train even harder. Kevin Levrone is like famous for taking 6 months off, and he looked like a person who didn't even lift at all, and when it came to stage time, he was one of the best guys on stage. But obviously this is not the best, this is not the best way to do things. You can eliminate burnout and fatigue and all the aches and pains in our body by just taking some weeks off, but these are methods that people have used it in the past, and I'm sure, like, even though research does not prove it, because research, like, you need a lot of sample sizes, you need meta-analysis, you need a lot of things that's hard to control. These things I feel like do have some merit, and right now is like the perfect time for all of us to enjoy some time off from the gym. And if you've been training hard, if you've been training hard, then it's completely fine to take some weeks off, even a month off, looking at these guys and how successful they were in their career, because they were not burnt out. So that's one of the things that I would take it as a positive sign. And me personally, I played around with it slightly by taking 3 weeks off, but for me it was a bit difficult, and that's, I think, one of the reasons. Like, मैले 3 weeks off अस्ति भर्खरै लिएको, अब फेरि 2 हप्ता म ट्रेन गर्न पाएन भने त पागल हुन्छु भनेर पनि one of the reasons that that changed my intention to create this small little home gym that I have here, and which turned out to be a good thing in a situation like this. But yeah, I hope you guys took something away from this video. I've been talking here in the camera for like, I don't know, 25 minutes or something. And yeah, there's no easy fix, and if you were looking for a magic solution to fix all your problems, I'm sorry if I couldn't provide that, but I hope you guys took something valuable out of this video. And if you're interested in coaching once the crisis situation is over, because right now I've given all my clients a break from me and a break for myself as well, and I've been helping them with their training programs and stuff, but right now is not the time to do all that stuff. We don't want to make money out of a situation like this, trying to help as many people as I possibly can. And I hope this video helps you guys as well. And if you're interested in coaching later down the line, feel free to reach out to me. We can sort something out. And if you need any help, send me a DM on Instagram, leave a comment down below, like this video, share it with your friends who want to see this, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next Sunday.